the next day, we went to the movies at the Fox Theater. I was a part-time worker there. I was just turned 16.
Okay.
I was a custodian. I cleaned up and everything. And my supervisor had told me that I was the best he'd ever had. I worked really hard. And, you know, I want to say this. It's not like I wasn't aware of racism. I guess I was just taken. I don't know what was wrong with me, because we went to the theater, and the next day I was at work. My supervisor pulled me aside and said, "You need to make a choice." Said, "We saw you." I said, "What do you mean you saw me?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I was stupid. And he said, "Well, we saw you with that girl. And you got to decide, do you want a job or do you want her?" And I quit. I just walked out.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of At Home with Emily, a podcast about creating a life you love. And love is certainly the word this month, as we are in our fourth and final installment of 4 Couples You Should Know. And you can tell by my voice and by my face that I am so excited about our couple today, because they have been married the longest out of all 4 couples that we've had on, Billy and Dora Cooper. And you know, we had to do some math because they weren't sure how many years it's been all together. Dora likes to count from when they met, and Billy wasn't sure.
I know it's been a long time.
So 59 years is what we're looking at. But, you know, it gets to be where it's hard to remember the time before each other, isn't it?
It's very difficult.
Because you become one.
Yeah.
And you said something interesting when we were chatting. I can't remember if it was you, Billy. See, you're already blended together. I can't remember if it was you, Billy, or Dora, who said that you've never been apart.
You've never been apart.
You said been together since the day we met.
Since the first day that you met. And where did you meet? How did you meet?
We met at the Gilloy's Theater. I was with my girlfriend. Saturday mornings was the kids' show for a quarter.
Okay.
And the show that day was Magnificent Seven.
Uh-huh.
And these are all rerun movies. They're not first-run movies. And I wanted to see it, so I went with my girlfriend. She liked to sit in the very first row, so we went down to the very first row.
Uh-huh.
And there's a little bit of time before the show started, and I heard somebody coming in. I looked back, and Billy had just walked in the entrance, and he's coming down the aisle. And he comes and sits right behind us. And we start talking.
And that was it.
I knew her friend. I've never seen her. Mm-hmm. And her friend had dated a friend of mine. And so I knew her. And so she introduced Dora to me. And I don't know why, we just started talking and talking. And then Dora said, "Well, can I sit with you?" And I said, "Yeah, come on back." So we sat there and we talked. I don't know how much of the movie I got to see because we just talked. And that was on a Saturday. And the next day we went to the movies at the Fox Theater. I was a part-time worker there. I was just turned 16.
Okay.
I was a custodian. I cleaned up and everything. And my supervisor had told me that I was the best he'd ever had. I worked really hard. And, you know, I want to say this. It's not like I wasn't aware of racism. I guess I was just taken. I don't know what was wrong with me, because we went to the theater, and the next day I was at work. My supervisor pulled me aside and said, "You need to make a choice." Said, "We saw you." I said, "What do you mean you saw me?" Mm-hmm. Because I was stupid. And he said, "Well, we saw you with that girl. And you got to decide, do you want a job or do you want her?" And I quit. I just walked out. It's over.
That had to be pretty intimidating for you as a young man.
Well, it was. I was really shocked.
Shocked.
Because I liked the job. And
you knew you were doing a good job.
Yeah, I knew I was doing it. You know, it wasn't like they were wondering whether I could do the job. He had complimented me on what a great job I did. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it was during the 60s and all the protests and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Stokely Carmichael. And I'm thinking, I'm not taking this crap. He's not going to tell me who I'm going to be with.
So that was your first instance that you can remember where you experienced blatant discrimination.
Oh, no, I experienced it before that, but that was
First one with,
as I got
with
older.
Dora.
Because,
Okay.
see,
Yeah.
I come from the boot heel, and I started picking cotton when I was 5 years old. So I experienced a lot of racism there.
Yeah.
But I'd gotten older. And one of the things when you're young, things were changing very fast in the 60s. And you get to thinking, well, that's the past. I'm just going to put that out of my mind. I'm just going on. And so you think you're past that.
Right.
That's where the issue come in, is that you think, okay, yeah, it was bad then, because Dora and I both have forgiven a lot of people for things they did and said. And frankly, that's the only way you can be happy, because you'll be mad all the time, because there's so many people that did things and said things that, frankly, was pretty devastating when they did it. But you tell yourself, well, I need to be the bigger person, you know.
And Dora, what about for you? What was it that drew you to Billy when you guys were young kids bebopping around Central High School?
Well, the day that we met, I talked more than he did.
Way more.
But the rest of my life, he's the chatterbox.
You have a lot of things in common to share.
Yeah, yeah.
And was your family accepting of Billy?
No.
What was that like for you as a young girl?
It was hard. It was very hard. I was crazy about my daddy. And he was not happy with the situation. He didn't say much to me, but I knew it wasn't whatever. At the time we got married in May of '69. And before the middle of June, Billy's driving our car, and a city bus hits him and totals it.
Wow.
And he said my dad had drove right past it and kept going. And I'd never spoken back to my father in my life. That's the only time I've ever spoke back to him. And we went there that night, to my parents' house that night. Billy had never been in the house. And
This was after you were already married.
this is about a month after we were married.
Okay.
And Daddy told me that he did not see Billy. He didn't see the wreck or whatever. And I had told him I could have been dead. And you drove right past there. I was really hurt. And so he says, go tell Billy to come on in. And Billy comes in. Daddy apologized to him, explained that he did not see him or whatever detail that he wasn't aware of. He shook Billy's hand, and Daddy changed that day.
I have never seen a human being change like turning a sheet of paper. This man treated me as good as you could treat anybody from that day on. He loved his daughter, and he wanted her to be happy. And when he met me and realized that I actually worked every day and that, nothing bad was going to happen to his daughter, he and I became very close. And, and frankly, when it comes to his feelings, I can understand at that point in time, any white parent being concerned, because you know how everybody's going to treat your child. It's not even about the other person. It's about all these other people that's going to abuse your child.
How society
And
was at the time.
Whether we like it or not, we don't live on an island, and we need other people. Employers will fire you. Employees will stab you in the back. Dora went to work at Zenith, and she was putting parts in. She only worked there, I think. She worked 2 weeks, put a notice in, worked another 2 weeks. She would put her parts in, and people would jerk them out because she was married to me. So on the other end, it looked like she just didn't do her job. And she's had to put up with this type of behavior her whole life since we've been together. And I will tell you, and I mean it with all my heart, she's been treated twice, 3, 4 times worse than me. Because people see her as a traitor. How could you do that to us? They don't even know her. But they're so offended. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she's had problems with employees, employers, and I mean, there's just a double standard. And so it's been painful for me to see what she had to go through just to be with me.
And hearing Billy say that, Dora, I have a feeling what you're going to say, that you probably wouldn't have made any different choice at all.
No, no. I'm pretty stubborn. I knew that I knew that there wasn't a reason why we couldn't be together. When in 8th grade at Studi Junior High, we had a black teacher that was a librarian, and a lot of the kids hated her. And I had a teacher say in the class, he said, "You just have to respect her." This is what the teacher says. It wasn't like, you ain't got to like her. You just don't push anything. And when I went to Central, I met a friend, a black girl, and we've been friends ever since. So from freshman year on, we ate lunch together every day, and people did not sit at the same table with us for 4 years. It's crazy.
But what was it about Billy that made you want to stay with him?
He was fun. He played sports. He had to quit his sports because they didn't want him on the team. And so he had to give that up. And it was, so I met Billy July 2nd after my dad had a heart attack in January. And I went to work at that time. I turned 16 in January, and I got a job because Mama never did work. And so family life was changed. And, you cling to who you care for, and you have idealism on what should be, what's right and what's what's right and what's wrong. I know that first day we met, he asked me, "What kind of music do you like?" And I told him folk music. And he didn't know what folk music was. So
no, we wasn't into that in my group.
But
pretty specific, a little obscure. Yeah.
At that time, 1966, at that time we had Peter, Paul, and Mary. We had New Christy Minstrels.
Yes.
We had different groups, and they were singing some protest songs.
Okay.
And
yeah, I think we both wanted to see change. Mm-hmm. If you really have a desire to do what's right, whether people like what's right or not, you know what's right. And I think 99% of us know the difference between right and wrong. Now, we may do whatever we feel like doing, but don't tell me you don't know. Mm-hmm. Because I just make it this simple. If I step on your foot, you know it hurts. So you know you shouldn't step on mine. All of our parents teach us when we treat everybody. And then even the parents make allowances where you can treat him any way you want to. Why can't we be consistent?
Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you when you're jogging the memory and thinking back to this time and knowing that Dora chose you, and for a period of time there, that meant very strong disapproval from her family.
It was, in many ways, overwhelming because, frankly, I hadn't been dating anybody before I met her. And frankly, I thought I was, well, I guess I was, but I thought I was in love, And this ring, she bought me this ring the first year we met. And she worked as a waitress, paid these people $5 a week.
Sales on the square.
To get this ring. And we've just been tight. And, I feel bad for you if you don't know when somebody loves you. And I know people don't know sometimes, and usually that means something's wrong. But even when you're mad, you should still know that that person loved you. And I knew. Because, first of all, nobody would go through what she went through. Nobody. If they had half a brain, they would not go through that unless they truly loved you. And I knew that I wasn't going to find another person like that. I don't care what color they were. I wasn't going to find another person like that. And this is a mistake people make. There ain't a whole bunch of soulmates running around for you. There may be wealthy people, there may be beautiful people, but there's only a few that really loves you, that if you get sick, they're going to be there. My mother told me when I was right before I met Dora, she said, if you want to know how people care about you, it's just watch them when you get sick. She said, everybody like you when you're healthy, you got money, you're young, but how do they act when you're sick and you're in bed and you're throwing up? I've been fighting cancer for 17 years. Mm-hmm. I was told I had a year to live. I have multiple myeloma. If I did not have Dora, I would have been dead so long ago. She would not let people not help me. She fought people. They hated to see her coming. She was online, and she would say, well, what about this treatment? What about this? And they'd look at her like, can you just shut up? And she would not let me die. Mm-hmm. She would take me to the park, and I was so weak. At one point, I was sleeping 20 hours a day. And I would get up and walk from my bed to the bathroom right there, 15 feet. And when I got back to bed, I got back to sleep. I was do you think I ran a mile?
Yeah.
And she, as soon as I got able, she took me to the park, over at Close Park. And she said, well, you got to get some strength. You got to walk. Well, I'm thinking, man, I don't even want to get out of the car. And we would walk sometime, they have these benches periodically, mm-hmm. and we would make it to the first bench, and I'd have to sit there for a long time. And sometime I had to go right back and get in the car, and we go home. But she would not let me not do something. Now, it can be rough living with her, because she can make life pretty bad. You need to do this. I knew she was telling the truth. But I've never felt fatigue like this fatigue before.
Yeah. Fighting for your life.
But I'd be dead.
Dora, hearing that from him and what that meant to him in those hard times when you're the caregiver, it's not easy.
No. When he found out that he had multiple myeloma, and that was in what year was that?
It was in 07.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We're looking it up, and it wasn't a popular situation. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much you get it, you die. You get it, you die. And his oldest sister had it. She didn't like big hospitals. They was all raised on the farm. And then they went to the big cities when they got married or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I had experience with what was going on with the disease then, and you just try and learn more to what you could do to help the disease, and you have to fight it together.
Do you feel like the difficulties that you have faced, we all handle difficulties different. Sometimes they divide us, and sometimes they make us stronger.
That's right.
Is that how you feel looking back over your journey together?
That's how I feel.
It's definitely how you feel. When you have someone in your corner and you know they're in your corner, you don't want to let them down. You don't want to die on them. I'm 57 years old, and I'm thinking, what's going to happen to her? Because when you're really close, it's not an ego thing, but when you really know how close you are, this is going to impact this other person's life. And you need to stay alive just for them. Because as far as if I could die now, I've done most of the things I wanted to do, but I don't want to leave her.
Right. She might be mad at you for that.
Yeah, she might be really pissed. Yeah, and she can show that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just know that the best person I've had, and her stubbornness is the reason I'm alive. Her stubbornness is the reason I went to college. I had no desire to go to college, but she told me, "You can do more than sweep floors." And she kept riding me, and I kept thinking, why aren't you just happy I'm working? Mm-hmm. And then 4 years later, I got my degree, and I worked in that field until I got sick. People need to, she could see things in me I couldn't see in myself. Mm-hmm. And, that's when you've hit a home run.
That's pretty unique for that. And you both have served the community for all of these years, and how I originally came across you was a big volunteer award that you got from Missouri State, working at Juanita K. Hammond's and coaching youth sports.
Yeah.
And you've made your home in this community. Despite the challenges that you faced early on, would you change your decisions to come together and build a life here?
I would not. And I'll tell you why I did not. I decided a long time ago, when I was real young, before we got married, I had several jobs. And if people were racist, I quit. Mm-hmm. And one day, I realized all I was doing was making them happy. They wanted to see my black face out of there anyway. Why not make them have to deal with me? Why should I have to be unemployed looking for a job? Mm-hmm. And what I found was, it is really hard for people to be mean to you if you continually treat them well. I've had clients come in that would tell me up front, I don't like black people. I had a man come in out of prison and said the best thing he liked about black people was black-on-black crime. Mm. He showed me his little thing. He was a white supremacist. But you know what? I offered him everything we had. And he got a job. And for a year, he came back to see me every month. You don't make changes by just being mean and evil, just because they were mean and evil to you. That's the easy way out, short term. Mm-hmm. But if you want to make a change, you treat people that you know. It's not like you're stupid and you don't know they're that way. Mm-hmm. You know full well how they are. But make them have to deal with the fact that most people have some sense of goodness in them. And at some point they think, man, I'm just really being a jerk. And they change.
It's hard to do.
You do it one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Dora and I have done, one at a time. We're not big partiers. We both love sports, so we coach kids forever. And once she went over there the first year to Juanita K. and kept coming home telling me, oh, I saw this. I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And we've been there together all this time. And then got a chance to go back to the Gilloys. And they have been so good to us there. So good. Jeff and Joy are just wonderful people. And I told them my story about what happened, and they understand the situation. But, I'm not mad. I'm not even mad at the guy that did that. I'm not mad at anybody, because what good does it do you? Mm-hmm. That man's dead. Why am I going to be mad at a dead man? He did, frankly, probably what he thought his employer wanted him to do at the time.
So the Galois, just to connect the dots for people, this is the same theater, the same building that you worked at
when we met
in high school.
Yeah.
And you've returned to that building.
Yeah.
Just to connect the dots for folks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love it. Like I said, the people are wonderful.
Well, you've reclaimed it. Okay?
Yeah.
So I think it's easy to go through life and write people off and write experiences off and say, I'm never going there again. I'm never dealing with that again. But you can actually take ownership of things and make changes.
You can make changes, but I think what most of us don't realize, yes, maybe what happened to you was very hurtful.
Yeah.
I'm not taking light of that. But what you really want is change. And even if it's not for me, you want it for the next person to come along. And if you show the wrong approach, first of all, just pure numbers. If you're a black person in Springfield, and I think the black population now is 4%, it used to be 2%. Well, if there's only 4 out of 100, you're probably not going to win trying to just be mean. So you got to have a better technique than that. And at the end of the day, it's just a lot of pressure being mad at everybody. Mm-hmm. I see people sometime and they remember how mean they were to me, and they'll say, well, I'm surprised you'll talk to me. I don't even remember what they did, because I washed that crap out. I just wash it out. And Dora has such strength. I don't have nearly the strength she had. I mean, she is mentally strong, and she's physically strong. And she don't mind letting me know she's physically strong. But she is one of those people that has set an example for me and my son and my grandson and some other people that we've helped. We've had people live in our home that weren't even related to us because they needed a place. We're not just put on this earth to see how much we can get. And you can't take nothing with you. Mm-hmm. And you either touched a life in a positive way, or you just went on. And neither one of us want to go on. We want to know that it made a difference.
For the younger people who are still listening, they've made it this far in the episode. What would you tell them in terms of how to make a relationship work for a lifetime? Just a couple take-home things. I know it's hard to look at. I know, and I meet couples who've been together a long time, and they say, they don't even think of themselves separately anymore.
Yeah.
But what do you think it is?
Well, first of all, you have to find someone you can trust. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the percentage of people that live together and don't get married, obviously there's not enough trust there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can call it whatever we want to call it. But if you really, really trusted them, you probably would marry them. And it can be either way, male or female. What I'm saying is we have become a very selfish world, country. And because of that, people are looking for the best deal. And you might be the best deal at 25 and not the best deal at 35. And
but they're really missing out then, though.
Huh?
But they're really missing out.
They're missing
right?
out. First of all,
in those golden years.
One of the great things about staying with somebody is that they remember when you could actually run and jump. They remember when you could play a little tennis. They remember when you had hair on your head. I mean, there's so many things that, if you're older and your spouse passed away, there's nothing wrong with getting remarried, having a friend. There's nothing wrong with that. But that person isn't going to remember you for what you were. And when you were at your best, it's really nice to say somebody, I know what you could do. Dora ran track for years, and she was 30 years old, and they had summer track over at Missouri State. And she would beat these high school girls. She never got beat. Never got beat.
I never got beat.
And I'm saying,
not in my age bracket.
Yeah.
I saw her.
I got most valuable track winner. I'm not sure what the title was, but I got
athlete.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, you need somebody to remember that. Because,
someone to witness your life.
I weighed 155 pounds.
Someone to witness your life.
Right.
Someone to witness your life. Mm-hmm. It's like your kids. Say you're married and things are going okay, and you do things as a family. You get divorced. Now they got this new person that don't even know crap about them. And you might try and tell them, and they say, well, you're just saying that because they're your kids. No, I'm saying that because it's true.
And so you feel very lucky that you've been able to be together
I'm blessed.
for this long.
Yes.
I am blessed, to have met a person the way I met her, and she just grabbed me. I don't think I could have ran if I wanted to. She just took me like, you're mine.
Took him from his mama's arms.
And that's the truth. That's the truth, because I was crazy about my mother. There was no doubt about it. And, the thing I would say about people is this. If you really like somebody, if you want advice, don't let nobody else tell you whether they're okay or not. Now, obviously, if you run around with the local drug dealer, people are not going to be happy with that. But if you know this person is a good person, and they care about you and you care about them, don't just move because other people think there's a better deal. Because there may be people that could provide more things for you, but do they love you? And there's times when you just want to know this person loved you. You just want to know that.
Dora, anything you want to add?
Well, one thing. So we met in July of '66, and the first going to Central High School. The first football game of the year was at Hillcrest.
Okay.
And I didn't know how things really were with black people. I was gung ho for the peace, love, and that kind of thing. But we went to the football game
at Hillcrest Stadium.
At Hillcrest Stadium, and we walked in, and I was holding his hand. And we're walking past people, and I'm still holding his hand, and everybody's looking at us like, what is going on here? And the following Monday, we was in the Dean of Girls, Dean of Boys office, and told we couldn't be on the same floor.
We couldn't even walk on the same floor. We couldn't be seen talking. And then they told us we couldn't even be seen within sight of the school.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. That's when you know you got somebody, though. Mm-hmm. Because most people, you just met this guy, and you go to school, and they tell you, oh, that's the worst thing you ever done. And then your parents tell you that's the worst thing you ever done. It's easier to just drop that dude. Let him go. She had nothing to gain. Mm-hmm. Because she didn't know me well enough to know if I was worth having.
So you knew that she loved you.
I knew that.
Same for you, Dora?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you still have a smile on your face when you talk about him.
Yeah.
Yes, we are truly one.
Yeah. Well, I hope that those who've been able to listen to this episode and get a little glimpse, a little history lesson too, won't take for granted some of the changes that have been made over the years. And I hope, too, that most of us can take away a little lesson in love and loyalty and commitment.
Well, I'm hoping we die together in each other's arms. So
Yes.
I'll just say this: a year ago, she had a horrible stroke, and it didn't look like she was going to make it. And I prayed to God, and I said, "I'll take her any way you give me. Just don't kill her. I'll take her anyway. I don't care." And He gave her back to me. And she's in much better shape than almost everybody that had a serious stroke like she had.
Almost everybody.
They told me 75% of the people die. They don't even get home. And the others go home severely disabled. She can walk, talk, feed herself, drive a car. So I have won the lottery. And I know it. This is a mistake people know. Know when your opportunity comes. I will say this to every young person. If you are really wealthy, you're probably going to get lots of chances in life. If you are a working class person, you might only get one chance. Be aware when it comes. Don't let it slide by thinking that the next one's going to come. Grab that thing that's in front of you while you can. When I worked in employment, this is what I told my clients every day. Because many of my people were low-income people. They wasn't going to get a bunch of chances. If you get a job at a good factory, don't let that job go.
And in this case, don't let that lady go.
That's it.
Right?
And you don't let people go. That's it.
Well, I am grateful that you took the time out of your day to come in and share.
We enjoyed it. Thank
I know
you.
it's an emotional journey to relive all of those memories, but hopefully it's a celebratory one too.
We've had a wonderful life. We've went through all 50 states. We've traveled a lot. We've enjoyed life.
Well, it looks like God knew what He was doing when He placed the two of you together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Thank you. And thank you for joining us for another episode of At Home with Emily. Hey, if you are watching us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode dropping next Wednesday. You can also follow Around the Ozarks on social media. Instagram and Facebook is where we are a lot of the time. And you can head to aroundtheozarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter so you don't miss a thing. See you next time.